Hey, this is Alex Belth. Welcome to Dig This. I've always been fascinated by the tools of the trade, no matter what the trade is. Late in his career, Ichiro Suzuki was on the Yankees, and I remember that there was an article on him one time about the way he cared for his bats. He even kept them in a case as if it was a pool cue, as if it was a balabushka, or something like that. And the idea of breaking a bat or smashing it in frustration just made no sense to him. And I love that respect and dedication. No, not dedication. I just love the respect and care that he had for the tools that he used to do his job. And so I'm not always that delicate or reverential towards the instruments that I use, but I love the idea of them really mattering. And it can be something as seemingly innocuous as a writing instrument. In this case, a pencil. What is more seemingly disposable than a pencil? And yet, when you are working with something that is a really finely made tool, all of a sudden it takes on a kind of deeper meaning, particularly not only just you being able to connect with your thoughts and writing on a piece of paper, but just having a deeper appreciation of the craftsmanship of the tool, and such is the case with Blackwing pencils. Now, if you're older than Gen X, you would probably recognize the sort of funky design here, particularly around the eraser of a Blackwing pencil. My uncle, who was an animator, and Blackwing pencils were favorites of animators in the 20th century as well as writers. But I had an uncle who was an animator, and I used to see these Blackwing pencils all around his apartment. Come to find out from my aunt, he never used them to actually animate. He only used them for the Sunday, or for the crossword puzzle, not only the Sunday crossword puzzle, which I thought was really cool. Now, I use Blackwing pencils to both draw and to write, and I'm just an enormous fan of them as a tool. But I was interested in learning more about not just the company and how a legacy company like that is sustained, or in this case, rebooted, which they did 15 years ago. But also what distinguishes a Blackwing pencil from pencils made by other really prominent pencil companies. So I'm blessed this week to be joined by Alexander Poirier, who is the vice president of Blackwing, and he breaks down what we need to know about this really beautiful, beautiful instrument. Please enjoy. Can you just, Alex, give us a little bit of a quick and dirty origin into what Blackwing was as a pencil company, and then how you guys got involved in rebooting it?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, you've got some of the juice already. Like the Blackwing's been around as a brand, and actually as a pencil model since the 1930s. And it was kind of the pencil through the 40s, 50s, 60s. A lot of really creative folks used them. Chuck Jones created Bugs Bunny with the Blackwing. John Steinbeck wrote The Grapes of Wrath with the Blackwing. And it built this kind of cult following of folks who just, they loved the way it looked, they loved the way it performed, they loved the creative lineage that it had. And so folks were using them for everything, for art, for animation, for writing, for crossword puzzles, all sorts of different stuff. And then in the 90s, the machine that makes that distinct flat ferrule, it's kind of the Blackwing's calling card. That machine broke, and the company that owned it at the time didn't think it was worth reinvesting in and retooling. So they just ended up selling through the remaining stock they had, discontinuing the brand, throwing it on the scrap heap. And so we came along. We've been in the pencil industry, California Cedar Products, for over 100 years. 1917 was when our company got started. And historically, we were in wood supply. We were in the material components that were used to make pencils. So companies like Faber-Castell and Caran d'Ache and, big giant stationery brands around the world were using our materials, using our wood. And we decided that we wanted to make our own pencils. And so we did. We had this small brand called Palomino.
And when was this?
And
When was this, Alex?
this was 2007, 2008, like
Yep.
around that kind of range. So Blackwing had been gone for about a decade at this point. Um, and so we had this small brand, like I said, Palomino. It was, we wanted to see how nice of a pencil we could make because we
Mhm.
knew we had the best wood. We knew where to get the best graphite. We knew where, how to get the best finishers, et cetera. So we kind of assembled this dream team of folks to help us make the best pencil.
And
And
was part of that experience also knowing that if you have these huge pencil companies that are buying using your product, that you kind of know how they're engineering their pencils a little bit?
yeah, I mean, in a way, everyone's a little bit different, and a lot of them are really vertically integrated. So
Wait a minute, what does
like
that mean vertically?
like the
And
like the big guys, they're doing every part of the process themselves, right? they're
totally.
doing they're doing the woodworking, they're doing the graphite, they're doing the painting. Whereas with us, we went and we found the best woodworker, we found the best graphite maker, we found the best painter, and we combined them together to make the best pencil, right?
Yeah.
So um like I said, we had the small brand Palomino that we wanted. We just kind of put it out in the world to see what people thought. And one of the comments that we got was, "Hey, this reminds me of the Blackwing. This is really exceptional. And is there any way y'all could bring back that flat eraser, that Blackwing calling card?" And so it was around this time that we started doing a little bit of digging, and we realized that not only had the brand been discontinued, it had been completely abandoned.
Yeah.
So we claimed the brand, we brought it back, feral and all. And yeah, I mean that's kind of where we're at now.
And had you known about you personally, had you known about Blackwing pencils?
I hadn't. So this was 2010 when
Yep.
we actually brought the Blackwing back. We're coming up on our 15th anniversary in October. I came on board in 2011.
Yep.
My exposure to pencils was relatively limited, but I'm kind of a nerd. So with all things,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Totally.
so like I had my favorite pencils. I liked Murado Black Warriors when I started working on Blackwing. But no, I wasn't familiar.
Interesting. I mean, and so you mentioned that there was a particular machine that was used to build
Mhm.
this specific pencil. And once the machine sort of went kaput, the company that was that the original Blackwing company, or did they pass through different corporate ownerships over time?
Yeah, I mean it went through different owners over time. Eberhard Faber was the original in the 1930s, and they held it for quite a long time. Eventually, they got consolidated with Faber-Castell USA, and so it had the Faber-Castell imprint for a little while, and then the final owner was when. Like in the 90s, that's when a whole bunch of consolidation was happening in the pencil industry. So the final owner was Newell,
Yeah.
um, who owns Rubbermaid and a bunch of other big brands like that. So they were the ones who ultimately decided that they were done with it.
So basically, it was just dumb luck that the name was available when you guys sort of were kind of poking around there. Is that
Very,
correct?
yeah, very serendipitous. Yeah, it
Totally.
was. We were working on this project, and we were gonna try to bring back some version of this pencil, even if we couldn't get the Blackwing name. And it just so happened that yeah, it was ready. It was ready. It was available.
Interesting. Yeah. So then from like even just like a marketing point of view, there's a nice cohesion with being able to have this traditional brand that's being resurrected and the traditional brand that had, a literary and an artistic lineage to it, which, speaks to like why people were using it in the first place. But when you guys decided to reboot the company, did you have to find that old machine that made it? Like, how did you, I'm not a technical person, but how did you actually have to build these pencils then?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of started from the ground up on that in that regard. We just retooled, made a new machine, retooled the whole thing. Um,
So you basically like reverse engineered it essentially.
yeah, exactly. We had some dead stock product that we're like, okay, this is what it looks like. It's got this flat ferrule, it's got this clip, it's got this rectangular eraser. Let's see see if we can do it. And we were able to. So we didn't need that old machine at all.
So, Alex, how much trial and error was there before you got something that was going to like reach the quality that you guys were looking for?
A lot.
Yeah.
And I would say that trial and error is ongoing. Um,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, because I mean, there's a reason why they didn't want to make this pencil anymore. It's not easy to make. It's really hard, especially that flat ferrule component.
Yeah.
Um, you know, we, most pencils are crimped. If you look at the ferrule, which is that metal piece that attaches the eraser. Yes.
This
So
guy.
mo
Yeah.
most pencils are crimped, which means basically the ferrule goes on and then it's like a stapler almost that
Yep.
punches
Yeah.
the ferrule into the wood. And Blackwings were that way before we brought them back. But when we brought them back, we decided, we're gonna glue these instead. The crimp didn't feel right
Hmm.
for what was a really premium pencil.
Yeah.
Um, and so we decided we were going to glue them, and that was by hand at first, literally us gluing them by hand. And then we built, a small machine that let us automate that process a little bit, but it was still pretty manual, still required some folks on the machine kind of placing pencils and placing ferrules and things like that. And then we finally upgraded to a fully automatic machine that we're running right now. But that machine is having trouble keeping pace with the demand at this point. So we're looking at an
Interesting.
even further machine development right now to try and make this thing. We've got high standards, so
Yeah.
want to make sure that it's continuing to put out more pencils, but not losing that quality. And one of the decisions we made when we brought Blackwing back was that we wanted this pencil to be accessible to as many people as possible. And so we ditched the traditional HB graphite grading scale. That's actually not very traditional at all. Every company has a different scale that that they're kind of building on. So when we brought the Blackwing back, we decided, no, we're just going to call this one soft, and we're
Yeah.
going to call this one firm. We're going to try to put it into terms that people can just natively understand. And so now we have the soft, we have our balanced graphite, which is a little bit firmer than that. We have our firm graphite, and then the one that you have there, the extra firm, which is the hardest graphite that we offer.
And do you get a sense? I mean, is it all just personal? I mean, or do you get a sense? I mean, you'll know, obviously you'll have numbers in which ones sell better than others,
Mhm,
but is
mhm.
there any rhyme or reason to which ones are more, you know, more popular?
Yeah, I mean, for the soft is far and away our best seller. It is, the 602 has our firm graphite, and that's the legacy product. That's the heritage product. So that one's always keeping up with the others. But if we're looking at just like spread out across all of our different designs, different models, the soft is the one that performs the best. And the reason that is because most of the folks, I won't say most, but a lot of the folks that are trying Blackwing are trying a pencil for maybe the first time since grade school, right? They're
Wow.
picking up a pencil for the first time in years. And so when they pick up the soft pencil, the soft graphite, and they put it on the page and they have this memory of, writing with a number two, scratchy, low quality pencil, and that soft, smooth graphite hits down and just I mean, people say it feels like butter, you know? And so that's the one that I think has the most wow factor for folks.
Yeah.
And so I mean, that one's
It's the
that
gateway
one's a
drug,
hit.
right,
Yeah,
Alex?
exactly.
So, okay,
Exactly.
so listen, dude, my wife is like daffy for fountain pens. So over the
Mhm.
last few years, I've kind of just by osmosis learned a bit about fountain pens, got to know some of the people in that world, and they're really interesting. But they're all addicts. I mean,
Mhm.
or they all have regulation issues, I should say, if that's a nicer word. But they're
For
like
sure.
freaks for their thing. Is it the same way with the folks who are into pencils? Are they? Is it just like are they super super into it?
Absolutely. Yes. No, yeah. I mean, there's definitely a corner of the internet that is that are pencil freaks. Um, that was honestly that corner of the internet was the one that responded so positively to that pencil back in, 2008, and said, "Hey, this is the one. Like this is it." So yeah, there's people out there, and I think it's honestly it's a growing community.
Yeah.
I think folks are getting more, at least in the United States, are getting more into stationery.
Yes.
Whereas, around the world, I think that is dipping, because
Okay.
it's in the US. I feel like in the US, there's never been a great stationery culture, right? It's always been more of a school supply, office supply culture.
Totally.
Um, and now it's becoming more of a hobbyist culture where folks are collecting, they're using different materials or finding different makers, things like that.
There's also seems to be like an ethos to this company that, and in other stationary companies, but you see it in food companies as in other companies that are trying to have this tactile experience of
Hmm.
writing something,
Hmm.
drawing something, using a pencil for flow of your creativity as a physical act, as a disruption of our technical
Yeah.
or on our screen lives.
Yeah.
For someone like me, who's a Gen Xer, like you mentioned, perhaps if I hadn't been using a pencil in a long time, this would be a return to something that I had experienced decades ago. But how many folks are like from millennials, Gen Z, younger folks for whom having to write your, early grammar school lessons on a pencil wasn't even a factor and are actually sort of newly discovering the sort of tactile physical relationship with an instrument. Do you find that that's a part of your consumer base as well?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we got started, our customer base definitely skewed older.
Yeah.
Um, Over the years, it has steadily decreased in median age. One of the things, I don't know if you've read our our manifesto that's on our website,
Yeah.
but we like to say that, we're here to help people slow down. We make pencils because we believe that is a tool that can help folks disconnect, be more mindful, be more present. Like you said, have a tactile connection to the things that they're writing or drawing or whatever it might be. Um, and I think that particular problem is most prevalent in younger folks.
Yeah.
So, that's really who we're, who we're speaking to, who we're trying to reach because we think it is a problem that we can assist with. And we've seen folks responding in a really positive way to it.
That's amazing, dude. I mean, here's a question. I've been wondering about this. Why, and again, it could be just personal preference. Why would somebody want to write with a pencil as opposed to a fountain pen or a gel pen or
Hmm.
any other writing instrument? What is it about pencils that have what is it that's going to differentiate somebody who's a fountain pen fanatic versus a pencil fanatic?
That's a really good question. Um, I mean, for me, I can speak personally,
Totally.
why I like using pencils. I like the ritual of the pencil. I like having to sharpen it. I like, rotating the tip as I'm writing to make sure that I've always got a clean edge. And seeing how the point changes over time as I'm using it. I like the smell. All our pencils are made of cedar. I like the way that like it engages my senses in multiple levels.
Yeah.
Um, I like the feel of it. I like that it's not cold. It's a warm tool.
Yeah.
It's something that when you hold it in your hand, um, it feels like an extension of you in a way that I don't feel with most pens.
Yep.
Um, and I just like the way graphite feels going down. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a you can really feel like the way the graphite gets on the page, right? It's basically embedding itself in the fibers of the page, and you can really feel that with the pencil. I like that feedback.
And Alex, is there, I mean, I know you guys sell, uh, pads of paper, uh, to write with, but how sensitive is a pencil's performance going to be depending on what you're writing on?
I mean, it changes a lot. You know, if you have something that's too smooth, you're not going to get that feedback that I was just talking about, right? You
Right.
need a little bit of tooth, you need a little bit of texture.
Yeah.
Um, Otherwise, not only are you not going to get that feedback, but maybe the graphite's going to smear.
Yeah.
It's got to have something to hold it,
Yeah.
because it's literally just powdered graphite that you're leaving behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Creative folks are particular.
Yeah.
They know what tools they like, and they seek out the tools that are going to get them whatever, whatever the intended effect is, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, there are a ton of folks in creative fields who use Blackwings. There's obviously a ton of folks in creative fields who use any other number of tools.
Yeah.
But we're kind of in a place where we're confident that if you're a creative, you're gonna find us. You're gonna go out there, you're gonna find the best tool for the job, and you're gonna find us.
Yep.
So that's why we kind of have focused on how do we get other people engaged? How do we get folks who maybe don't think of themselves as creative to understand that, you know, this is still a tool that can help you,
Yeah.
and maybe it can unlock some kind of creativity in you.
Right. Because you could be working on a job that's, I don't know, you could be a coder or something like that.
Mhm.
But if you need to
Mhm.
be like brainstorming stuff, you still want the activity of physically writing something. I mean, I know I just write lists all the times because otherwise I won't remember anything in my life.
Yeah.
But the act of physically writing and then physically crossing off is incredibly satisfying. So not only does it keep me on point, but I like the tactile engagement with what I have to do with my day, as opposed to just looking up, my Google Calendar or something like
Yeah,
that.
no, absolutely. I mean, I'm the same way every morning. I write out my to-do list, by hand,
Yeah,
check things off as I'm going. Because yeah, there's something about even just the act of writing it down that not only makes it feel more uh tangible and real,
yeah,
but makes it feel like when you're done with that list, it's like, okay, I did
yeah.
something today.
I'm curious about the volume series.
Yeah.
And I know the first volume series that I was aware of was the Bill Russell one earlier this year or late last
Hmm.
year.
Hmm.
Now there's a Keith Haring one, which is great. I mean, I grew up in New York City, so in the 80s, so quite aware of Keith Haring. It was a big deal. But I'm just curious, like, what is it that goes into your selection process with that, and how big of, a part of the business comes through the volume series?
Yeah, I mean, we started the volume series. This is actually the 10th anniversary of it.
Wow.
So the Herring release was our 40th. Yeah, because we do 4 a year. So that was our 40th release, which is insane to think about. But we started that program because we had been telling this story of the Blackwing, kind of, the rise and fall of the Blackwing, the one that I started this conversation with. And we love that story. Everybody loves that story, but we wanted to start telling new stories with our pencils. I was a literature major in college. Our president was a literature major in college. Our sales manager was a literature major in college. We all love storytelling.
Yeah.
And so we thought, you know, if our goal is to get more people using pencils, to get more people interested in these pencils because of all of these benefits that we believe that it has, um, what's the best way to do that? I think through storytelling and telling a story that different groups of people would, be interested in. So we've done, our first one was we partnered with the folks at Newport Folk Festival, told a story about music and Bob Dylan going electric at the 65 festival, um, and just got introduced to an entirely new audience of folks that we never would have touched if we hadn't told that story, right?
Dope.
Um, And we've done all sorts of different stuff over the years. We've done tributes to surrealism. We've done tributes to filmmaking, journalism, and just trying to think of stories that are, you know, related to creative pursuits, related to either writing or musicianship or, artistic endeavors of some kind, but ones that we can, that hit on our Venn diagram, just kind of hit a point and then open up an entirely new audience
Totally.
for us. So it's been incredibly successful. It started out as a really small thing. These days, it's about 20% of our business. So it's a big deal. And each time, each release, I feel like it feels like we're upping the stakes a little bit more each time. Like this herring one we just did was the biggest we've ever done, and the response was incredible. It exceeded all of our expectations, and we had pretty lofty expectations. Um,
And you partnered with the Herring Foundation to do that? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, we usually do have a partner of some kind
Yep.
when we're working on one of these things, like the Bill Russell release that you were talking about. We worked with his wife on that project. So it's fun when you get to work with someone who's really close to whatever the subject is that you're doing. It's also fun when you just get, like, we did a culinary release this year, and we just kind of got to riff on what we think a culinary pencil would look like. So that's fun too. It's fun in different ways.
I assume this has like a collectible. Some people who are into the volume series are like collecting every
Oh
one
yeah.
and
Oh
not
yeah.
opening them. And there's a
There
secondary
are
market on eBay for
there
older.
absolutely is. Someone brought to my attention just the other day that Newport release that I was talking about, that the first one we ever did, was listed for like $1,200 on eBay for a pack of pencils. Um, Definitely did not think we were creating that when we set out to do this. But there absolutely is a market for folks
But
selling.
you guys always do a finite run of each one.
We do. Yeah,
Yep.
we do. And it varies. We've never released the like actual numbers of each pack that we've made. We try to guess based on demand, and our ultimate goal is we have these quarterly runs. We want to be sold out of whatever the
Yep.
pencil is by the time the next quarter comes around.
Yep.
Um, the pencils themselves, we try to have whatever the design is, like the story comes first, right? So whatever the design is, it has to further whatever story we're telling. So, that's manifested itself in a few interesting different ways. I got one over here you want me to show.
Yeah, man.
Should I bring one out here? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, all right, I'm just gonna go with this one. And this one might look relatively simple. It's a black pencil, right?
Yeah.
But this pencil here, this is a volume 24. This is our fourth ever volumes pencil. And we worked on this one with John Steinbeck's son, Tom. And Tom invited us into his house, heard about what we were doing with the volumes program, invited us to his house, and worked with us to design the perfect pencil for his dad. And so that pencil ended up being all black. He said his dad didn't like distractions, would have wanted something that was as minimal and distraction free as possible. And it was, I mean, as someone who's, like I said, studied literature, that like was like uh, something that I never thought a pencil would take me into the home of John Steinbeck's son and give me the opportunity to listen to him tell stories about his dad meeting Woody Guthrie on the train, and like it was incredible. But that's one example of, the story came first.
Yeah.
There's a million different directions you could go with a John Steinbeck pencil,
Yeah.
but the story that we were telling was, hey, this is his perfect pencil. So this is what it's going to look like.
Dude, that is so dope. And just so funny. My dad's favorite writer was John Steinbeck. So, but I think it's just like sort of being open to these kind of connections. And again, through the pursuit of this slowing down and being connective, the roads that are, excuse me, the roads that get, the avenues and the roads that get open to you is pretty freaking cool. And then the fact that you continue to incorporate that into your product, oh man, that's pretty dope. So for like, this is 15 years. Do you guys have, apart from the Herring volume set, which is pretty splashy, pretty big deal as it are there is there anything else that you guys have like popping for this year as a kind of celebration?
We do. So I can't speak to all of it
Hey
yet.
now, cool.
But we have another pencil program that we call Eras, which is basically pencil designs that pay tribute to other versions of the Blackwing, other iterations, things that have inspired the Blackwing, etc. And so we do have a special Eras pencil coming out this year that'll be a little nod to the 10-year anniversary. Um, and we've got some other stuff that has been a long time in the works for a long time, that I can't really speak about, but it'll be coming soon.
Nice. I like Cloak and Dagger in this business. Anyway, Alex, this is awesome, man. I really appreciate it, and I know my audience here is going to really have gotten a lot out of learning more about your incredibly dope company. So thanks for joining me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to.
Thanks again to Alexander Poirier for joining us this week. The Blackwing pencil, definitely part of the instruments that I use regularly. They're a great company. Check out their website as well as the manifesto on the website that will give you a little bit more on the ethos and the ethics of the company. The Keith Haring Volumes box set is banging. There's more coming out this year. With the holidays coming up, please consider Blackwing as, one of your destinations for people who, want to be more connective and write with a really beautiful writing tool. So again, big shout to Alex for joining us, the man in the blue suit for creating the tunes, and John Partham for making things sound so beautiful. And with that, I'll see you soon. All right, peace.